mind when I see this comp for Genji is Camille, actually, instead of just going straight into the Gnar, because you already know that their composition is so reliant on this one backline champion. If you have the Gnar, it gets a little bit more complex in terms of how you're going to have to set up those team fights. And yeah, you're going to have a good matchup into the Cassante, but Camille just says, I get on top of Zeri, I lock her down, and we have tons of CC to back it up. It will be actually the Akali to come through for Genji here. So Chovy having the ability to shut Duck Dom down here from a different angle. And we've seen this Akali into Lucian a few times, and sometimes how it goes is the Akali just kind of falls behind in a rough matchup early, and then Lucian has control of bottom side, and Akali ends up coming either online never through the middle or later parts of the game, or you see that one time where Akali threatens the Lucian because he's trying to step forward to look for that pick onto the enemy support. This case, it's Yuumi, so very difficult to pick. Akali, not a mid-champion that Lucian's going to be looking for, even if he has that Gale Force advantage, because he could be killed in that 1v1 if he steps too far forward. So I like this call for Chovy, because we all know he's capable at being the Akali who can handle the early to mid-game very well, and then could be one of those answers to Lucian when Lucian steps forward, because that's the tightrope walk that Lucian has to do in the later parts of mid-game, and for the rest of the game is just going, I have to blow someone up, 100 to 0 them when we're doing setup for objectives, and that's when the Akali could say, but you have to get to the beat.
Yeah. Definitely a very nice pick, especially into that mid lane. He's not going to have that rough of a time against Silas. Can definitely play that matchup out, not get too far behind. Not that he generally gets behind in any matchup, which is kind of OP. Not very fair. I kind of like it. It's another threat as well. It's not all on Yuumi, you know, or not Yuumi, Zeri, to just carry everything. As the right one says, Tobe E. Which,
with a cat?
Yeah. Skitty, I guess.
Maybe they want mid Yuumi for Chovy, you know? I hope not. I hope that never happens. Compositionally here, though, I do like what DRX put together way more in the second game than game one. It's about getting ahead, though, and executing.
Yeah, they'll have to make it work. Let's jump onto the Rift here for game number 2. And here we are once again. You'll note that we have changed sides because DRX did select blue side. Not something you see every time, but if you lost on red, why not try to give it a chance on the other side?
The Moss Stomper not taken for Peanut in this matchup. Just going to be looking for longer engage out of brush, the extra speed boost to travel around the map faster as well.
Gust Walker.
Gust Walker.
Should have been called Ghost Runner. I mean, you're running out of the bush. Doesn't really make sense if you're a walker.
That is true.
Strange.
That is true.
Gust Sprinter.
Yeah. Just thinking about it, I'm like, Also, the Moss Stomper's not stomping anything. He's just not getting slowed, you know?
Yeah.
What's he stomping?
Stomping all your solo queue games.
I think a lot of players, though, would have gone Moss Stomper on the Wukong in this case, but I like the confidence from Peanut. Just wants to be able to have a larger impact on his own. And we see so much of what Wukong can do in, like, what we have seen, rather, in the past, what Wukong can do as an early ganking jungler, how powerful he is with his resistances and stuff like that in the old kind of Zeri meta. But now he kind of peels a lot, and I think his ultimate has been used very defensively in a meta where there is so much lockdown for the Zeri, and she does need to kite back. We've seen so many great ultimates. Cuz in particular had an amazing one yesterday on KT winning the only Zeri game of the tournament so far. So, see how Peanut plays it out this time around.
Level 2 hit here first for the Lucian, or rather the Zeri lane, of course. Kroko, he was watching yesterday with the gank coming out from Candy. He's trying to make it work here on the Sejuani Ignite. Already coming in, the flash a bit early, trying to perhaps catch them off guard. Generally, you see the dash into flash, but not the case that time around.
Yep. We'll still force all summoners out of Pays here. Barrier down 2. So not quite the same successful one we did see yesterday against Live Sandbox, but with the Maokai, of course, this similar timing. One gets out. I thought we had a vision toggle for a second there. I got scared, but everything's okay.
That would have been really cheeky, but I think this wave is pushing into Pays and this Genji bottom lane, so it's just a little bit too risky. The timing is not great. To try to go for a follow-up repeat gank in the bottom lane, even if Pays does not have his flash.
And they have that ward there, which is so huge. That makes you feel a lot safer here as Pays to be out there. Can react a lot faster. Something, unfortunately, we did not see for Envy yesterday.
Chúng ta sẽ cùng đến với các phương pháp hút mỡ hiện đại ngày nay. Và ngày hôm nay thì mọi người thấy Diên hôm nay có ốm không nào? Hôm nay thì Diên đã giảm được 10 kg. Đó chính là nhờ một phần công lao của Bệnh viện Thẩm mỹ Việt Mỹ đấy các bạn.
Biến giấc mơ thành hiện thực.
And Krakow just once again gonna look for another opportunity here. Chovy playing it safe, bottom side of the lane towards his turret. Low action here so far, which is a relief. You know, maybe the Zera game isn't going to end very early this time again.
Yeah, we don't like action here.
Slow it down a little bit.
Very relieved. Krakow was spotted walking over a ward, so you see Doran the way he's playing, but did he take a step too far is the question. Pushes him into the turret. That's a couple of shots on Krakow, who takes more damage than Doran did in the 2v1.
Yeah, a lot of time spent here from Krakow trying to come down and look for some ganks, and loses a lot of farm. Not going to be successful here. He's flashless, and now Peanut just barely spotted on this ward. And, he was, right?
Yeah, he was. What? I guess he wasn't looking at himself when the ward expired, because you should know. Unless he's just waiting for them to face check. I mean, this is very interesting. Spent a decent amount of time there. Now I can just get this Rift Scuttler. Not the biggest deal. Chovy's having a fun time in this mid lane, even though he did have to start the Shuriken just to get away from that level 1.
It was a really nice play on the top side for Dorian. We won't get a replay of it because we only do that when people die. But
yeah.
His charge using the Unstoppable to pull him back towards turret was really well played. And Krakow kind of came up empty now twice. In terms of getting kills, right? Obviously forcing Pays' summoners is huge. But he's still doing fine in the laning phase. Has all that extra Yuumi sustain. Yuumi still has exhaust. So it's not an unplayable lane. Speaking of unplayable.
Yeah, Fate's level 6 hit here for Chovy, so he just has to give up those 4-ish CS, the 3 range minions. Not the biggest deal, he can TP back, but he's kind of down in this lane. Even though Chovy took the first chunk and he did start Shuriken, does not matter. Chovy's having a ball of a time. His Pays is going in on this one, takes the Ignite once again. It is up, has Barrier. Similar cooldowns on those ones, and they do get traded.
Yeah, this is very scary for Pays, who still doesn't have his flash up. And Exhaust can help you a little bit here, but be very careful about that. This does help get him a back timing, though, with this wave coming through. Krakow lurking. They're not going to be able to commit to anything here. They might be able to push this wave, and if they had control of vision around the Drake, they might be able to try to rush this one down. But you know, despite this not working out for Pays and Delight, it gets them a back. And that's all you can ask for sometimes in this lane. You're like, yeah, I'll take that back, and I'll sit 10 CS down, and that's just how it's going to be. As with that vision, speaking of, that they didn't have, Peanut's actually just going to straight up sneak this one.
Delight's doing a pretty good job of actually pulling this wave. It's going to put it in a really nice spot here and keep a lot of that CS alive and not allow it to crash into the turret. Very nicely done. And as you mentioned, Peanut the Ice just going to get this early Cloud Drake pretty much for free. It is on the back of DRX's bottom lane, so have that information to just say, okay, well, the bottom lane isn't here, so they can't challenge me on this one. And he will get it.
Yeah, well played. Genji's macro in this series so far just really good. Great map reads from Peanut once again. The wave being held there for Delight means that the CS difference is not only pretty negligible here, but also, like you said, the wave's in a really safe spot. Croco.
Chovy does have this, but the scan is on top of him. He will be forced to ult. Croco is not level 6. Note that he is a couple of camps down here on Peanut, who is also not level 6. So just not in a position to really force that one. Chovy will hold on to his flash, just has to blow his ult.
Yeah, don't feel too bad about that. Not going to be a whole lot of action up here. I mean, there's a lot of action, but no result. Don't be fooled by the observing.
Hey, it's better than having Gnar up there.
Yeah, true.
Which is what I thought was going to happen 100%, but Rascal is a different beast of a top laner.
No solo kills in this one just yet. Bit of a tough one to get that in the stage as Camille. Doran going to push this one through, and 0 kills here at 8 minutes. This is one of the better looks we've seen from Azeri, right? And I think a lot of this is based on Peanut's play here. Pays and Delight going for that risky push there, bottom side to get the shove so they could back and then pull the wave towards them. Delight doing a great job of that on the bounce. And, you know, it's small advantages here for Genji, 600 gold, but with the compositional differences here, that feels massive, right? In terms of what Zeri can do when left freely to her own devices here in the lane. Especially when you have that extra 5-minute buffer with this first Drake that Peanut was able to steal away. Now, they're looking to grab this Herald with the push Doran had here.
Croco level 6 now could really force this one on this Rift Herald as it is coming in. We're going to have a traditional LCK 5v5 on the Rift Herald at 8 minutes. What is going on? As neither team wants to give this one up. DRX say we have enough early pressure. We should be able to challenge it. It's getting pretty low as the Cyclone does come in, gets some really nice value onto the front line onto Rascal. And the final chapter hits the entirety of the choke point, so everybody gets rooted up and has to get out. And Chovy will just pick up a bonus kill. Make it 2! As Chovy is fed at 9 minutes into the game, and Genji got the first Rift Herald after DRX committed to it. Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is looking rough. I don't want to call it a Zeri moment. I won't certify that, but it is a lot of money into her pockets. And, I mean, I think Chovy doesn't have Smite here. Could have actually potentially grabbed this Herald as he comes through here. But look at the choke point control from the Yuumi ult. There's just there's like no real win condition in this fight for DRX. You don't have the proper setup. You don't have choke point control. And you're just too late to force this fight. And in some ways, I think as DRX, you're probably thinking, all right, we actually have a stronger team fighting comp at this stage in the game. And if you're in position to fight it properly, I think that's true. But not when the choke point's controlled by all that AoE Peanuts. Oh, you've got Delight's ult coming through there. And Pays is just untouchable. And then when you go against an Akali like this, the unfortunate result is that there is no escape. Like, you will get chased down.
Yeah.
So it could have been better if Chovy was playing a mid laner. You know, if he was playing Victory, he's like, they can get away. No, not in this case, man. Chovy's grabbing 2.
Yeah. That's a big problem because, you know, Revolution didn't get ahead. In fact, Pays is ahead on the bottom side, so that's not winning. Mid lane, Akali, R5. Fantastic into the Silas, winning that lane. Top lane, your Camille, quote-unquote, counter pick. So far, of course. I mean, still not even one item. You're going to need a little bit more time for that Camille to really get online. But that's not going well early either. So Genji just a massive lead here early on in this game. And they've gotten every objective as well, which is a big problem here for DRX.
And they're looking to get their 3rd of the game. You know, with this second Drake coming up here in 50 seconds, they're going to drop this Herald bottom side. It's a Zeri getting plates on Illusion. Opposite day today here at the LCK. As Pays is going to be like, thank you for the cash money. And Delight will pick up some of that too. And now they're in prime position here to set up for this Drake fight. Neither top laner has TP, so it's going to be a 4v4 if DRX commit to the fight. But as we saw in the last Rift Herald fight, I wouldn't advise it because they don't have positional advantage here. And Lucian doesn't have Gale Force.
Fade going in, stolen Akali ultimate. He had Krako nearby. Feels a little bit early, but maybe trying to bait out the play, but Chovy reads it perfectly. He is not going to get baited into this fight. You know, you can bait out the Shroud, and then maybe the Sejuani follows up. Krako just got his ultimate, but nope. Chovy says, I know exactly what's happening.
This would have felt a lot better if Chovy's TP wasn't coming back up here, too. He can actually get a free back off right now.
Culling, pretty good value. Puts FaZe in an awkward spot. He is going to have to heal. Tidal Wave, be a little bit desperate, but it will at least force the flash, so that is going to be nice. As meanwhile, Peanut getting in there onto the Silas bait as well. And Doran, as I mentioned, he was actually the first person to pick up a Mythic, so he's just really enjoying his time in the top lane for now.
Yeah, I feel like it's so many of these skirmishes, Valdez. DRX are so close to pulling it off. They are so close to making it happen. Pays just narrowly escapes, has to flash, right? But he gets away. You look for the all-in on the Chovy. If he doesn't react perfectly, he dies. You still get a good trade on him, but his TP is coming back up. He goes back. He's got 4 stacks of Dark Seal. Now he's got his Rocket Belt online, and he's here to contest the Drake. I mean, everything is just a hair out of reach here for DRX and all of these exchanges. And they start stacking up, though. You miss these opportunities just slightly enough times, you find yourself 3,000 gold behind, 2 Drakes behind, a Herald behind. And Chovy's really starting to come online now, too.
Yeah. The calls in game 1, I think, from DRX were actually quite poor. You know, some of the times where they were trying to force fights and stuff like that when they really should not have been. In this game, it felt like the calls were better in terms of what the calls actually were, but the timing was totally off, you know? So, still DRX trying to get their feet underneath them as they're trying to catch a Chovy. It is not looking too good as, ooh, that stun is going to also wear off, and Krako does not have his ultimate available, so not able to catch the Akali in mid lane. Meanwhile, Fate's getting pretty low. He's got Peanut nearby, but Krako's still here, so fight denied.
Yeah, very scary if he commits there, though, with Chovy, or rather Peanut having flash ult. Could have turned very quickly. The other plate goes to Pays on the bottom side. 3 plates down. Again, the Zeri winning this exchange. No plates to the Lucian. Fate's Rod of Ages timing about 3 minutes later than Chovy's from the previous game, so rushing this one in similar fashion, but isn't going to be able to get the same edge, unfortunately, levels-wise here. A level down right now. 1,000 gold to Genji, and this is just, once again, better map reads. The experience, even with a new bot duo, Chovy, Peanut, Doran, this top side of the map is unchanged, and the calls have been good.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest difference maker, you know, in this one. Genji, you can say whatever you want about, like, the individual players, like perhaps the roster of Genji is still stronger on an individual level, but also, you know, it's spring. It's the beginning of spring. These guys, a lot of them played together last year, the entire year, and they know each other very well. They still have their shot caller and stuff like that. Barrel's still trying to rally the troops. He needs more time in this one. So definitely a little bit of what we see here at the beginning of spring, as always. Krako trying to find his spot as the enemy jungler is here. Peanut ready with the Cyclone as in they go. Doran trying to make something of this. He's getting pretty low though, but still not enough damage here until Duckdom gets here, tries to fight it back as the culling does come out. He will pick up the 1 kill, and in fact this rotation will net DRX a couple of kills. Yeah, Duckdom and Barrel make their way to the top lane.
Really good rotation from Duckdom and Barrel. Without them there, this ends up being disastrous because Sejuani doesn't have her Mythic just yet. Peanut sitting on his first item. You have Doran, who's just so tanky at this point in time that when he ults, he does a ton of damage in this skirmish, and it looked like Genji walk away with a huge win here until, unbeknownst to us, with hidden vision-wise, Duckdom and Barrel rotate up. Now, Chovy instantly goes bottom lane here and grabs a turret. So, yes, it is going to be a trade-up macro-wise here in terms of the gold, because bounty gold is going to go to DRX. But Genji still get a cross-map out of this. But that was an impressive rotation there from Duckdom and Barrel, one that was just completely unseen. Is who's trapping whom here on the top side of the map? As Peanut's like, ah, yes, I baited you in. And this fight looks like it's going to go extremely well until you see on the river, Duckdom and Barrel rotate up.
They were starting this rotation before the fight was even beginning, so kind of read the situation very well. Perhaps they had a decent idea that Peanut was going to be there for the counter gank, and they get the upper hand. Now, still 3,000 gold down. We'll see if they can call this one back, but for now, they are going to give up this Rift Herald to Genji, who very confidently will take this one. And they have a very weak top lane turret that they can take down. Looks like Doran should be able to get this himself.
Now he's got his Demolish, and he'll take it down. And on the bottom side of the map, Fate's trying to get another turret himself. Bounties have faded, so isn't going to be the big money they got top side there. But stuff like this is the first time I feel like we've seen this, even in that T1 KT series with aiming, where Zeri is just sitting under a full health turret, casually farming, casually 30 CS up on the Lucian. That just has not happened so far in the LCK, and this has been something that we've talked about a little bit here, but the game hasn't felt like it's been about the Zeri yet. But let me tell you folks, it's about to be, and that's the problem here is that DRX don't have the same sort of scaling aspect of this composition. They have some side laning as Rascal. Oh, 50-50 goes.
Still has Hextech Ultimatum. I think Jovi's kind of not in a great spot. He was going to ult over, but Rascal's got another hook shot, and there's the ultimatum. Should be a, oh, nice timing on that one, but the bubble is going to kill him. That's actually pretty unfortunate for DRX, but at least they do shut down Chovy.
I think you could almost read Beryl saying sorry about that one there, but trying to help secure that kill. Still 2 turrets for this play. One mid and an inner on the bottom side here as Peanut commits with Doran. So get gold where you can get it, DRX, but Gen.G are out-trading you on the map, macro-wise.
Oh, Pei's just going to ult here. He's just going to be able to dodge everything. He's got a Yuumi on his back, too. He's kiting this out perfectly. Even a Silas is here. I mean, God, they brought the whole cavalry with them, so Pei's is like, all right, fine. I guess I won't continue on this, but handled it very well at the initial outset of that fight.
It's Mountain Soul for Azeri, you know, feels okay, right, in terms of what it's going to offer. A little bit of extra survivability here, but Gen.G is going to take it for free after grabbing 2 turrets, one of them an inner, as Zeri 1v4 is in the mid lane. There's not a lot of good news. And this is the pick that we saw topside required so many resources, of course, to killing Chovy, and he almost gets out. And if that top turret's still alive, he just might. Because this is a little bit of greed here from Chovy in the side lane. Does have to rocket belt away, uses everything to get out.
The second Q from the Camille actually hit him. I think Chovy thought he was under the shroud. And he was okay because he was stepping forward, but actually he was just barely seen, and Rascal got the second hit on the Q. And Chovy was like, oh crap, I'm dead.
Yeah. Yep. Has a lot of cooldowns he can use to try to escape here. Good read from Beryl. I mean, like, it wasn't wrong from Beryl. He's probably sad he took the kill, but still a good call to try to make sure they lock him down. I think he dies no matter what, but you know, you're playing the game and you're like, we make sure Chovy does not get away. Put that bubble in, and that's another small thing that goes away from DRX, right? You got Chovy, you spend a lot of resources, you lose 2 turrets, and it's Beryl who picks up the kill.
Yeah, for sure. And Doran's really going to enjoy this mountain break, at least, as we are getting in onto that backline. Cyclone going to hit both of them. Beryl's tidal wave might be able to help this. Really huge bubble, at least, gets the both of them as Chovy still under the shroud. And Peanut, he is quite tanky, at least, but he finally does go down. Pace here over the wall. He's got the Yuumi with him, and Chovy as a front line. And DRX, once again, just kind of left running away with their tail between their legs. Not much they could do in this fight as Pace is over the wall. And the sun is not going to land here from Fate as he has to flash, and he is not getting away. Pace will pick up the double, I believe, at the end of this one. Nope, it's a triple.
Triple.
4-0 and 2 for the Zeri.
Oh, baby, the triple. Franco sitting on
the camera.
Yeah, Kronko's sitting over there, you know, clapping his hands, saying, that's my boy. I know it for sure. And I think in this game, we've seen a different type of skill expression than we saw in the last, right? And this is Paze's 3rd game on the champion, right? And obviously the first 2 he's playing against Gumacaria. It was not the Lucian lane that he's facing this time around, where he was able to, with Peanut's help, deal with the pressure extremely well. And in game 1, he played Jhin. He was a utility pick with the lethality build he chose, just helped do some extra damage from afar. Now he's really showcasing his skill, his positioning, his chase potential on this pick, and you can see why it was picked for him 3 times now.
Oh, Doran. Not sure where you're going, buddy. He just kind of gets awkwardly caught out there as he will get stunned up and taken down.
The kill score in this game makes it look closer than it is, because there has been, and I was going to mention this, I guess we're going to watch it again here, this fight. There has been a little bit of playing with the food for Gen.G, I think, in some ways. The bubble here is amazing. The turn on to Peanut is great. Peanut's extremely low here, has to flash. And yes, this is a great fight because Paze is ahead, and he's not behind, like, he's not vulnerable in any way here. But you know, the fight could have been cleaner. It just doesn't matter. Gen G are playing with their food here. They're like, we're just going to push in the jungle, take what we want.
Chovy incredibly fit at this point, even has a stopwatch if he needed to buy time. I don't think he really needs to buy time.
Nope.
Looks like Rascal needed to buy a bit as everybody was coming up, or down rather, to the bottom lane. FaZe can just face check this.
I mean, he
not
literally
scared.
could just run at them.
Yep, Bubble not going to land. He's too fast. He's power gliding, you know. He's getting in there. And Croco and Duck Dom, once again, we've seen this a lot. Just kind of running away.
I mean, he hasn't used heal yet.
Okay, charge not going to hit. FaZe just dodging everything. The movement extremely clean, really showing off the confidence here from ahead. Great to see from this young player as double kill will go over to Peanut. And this one has, you know, I'm about to ask Atlas to just get his saxophone out and start playing the music because this is what it's looking like right now.
His shellaxophone.
Atlas saxophone.
I don't think Jake Swan Tiberia would qualify this one because we've reached a certain point in the game. I think it's a bit long in the game time, but Chovy never really in any danger here. Then FaZe just running at them. But this is what we talked about before this series, and kind of the narrative I was setting for FaZe going into this matchup against DRX is this is where you can get your confidence back, right? After a tough first series.
All right, is this the moment? No. Looks like a no. Maybe they thought that Doran wasn't there, but even just FaZe and Delight themselves, I mean, they have barrier and exhaust and heal still, so.
Quick Blades.
Very desperate.
Yeah, Quick Blades ready for FaZe now. He has hit the new 3-item Zeri spike. I mean, it feels so hopeless, this fight. Rascal's like, oh, I got to get out of here. Doran's like, I'm sorry, I'm Cassante. Like, you thought you could maybe kill our Zeri, but you didn't even get close, and now
you don't get
dead.
to move for 5 seconds now because I'm Cassante. Fun stuff.
This is going to be the Mountain Soul.
Right, so who's getting POG here?
Well,
is it FaZe or Chovy?
I think, for me, this time it's FaZe. And Chovy's had a great game, and some of his escapes were crazy. He played the laning phase out so well. Kept Fate under turret for a long time, just outlaning the Sylas super hard and slowed down his Rod of Ages progress and stuff like that. But I think this game has been defined by FaZe's positioning and his aggression. And, you know, once he got ahead, he took the lead he was given and has just ended the game with it. That's my vote. That's my reasoning. Yeah. I'm giving it to FaZe.
I'll give you my backing, my support.
Thanks.
No, it means
it means a lot to me. Okay.
Not in terms of the vote, but you know, at least it means something to someone.
Remember the first season I casted LCK where I read something down, you like grabbed the pen and like, We've come a long way, Valdez.
Times have changed. And Duck Dom, yeah, he's able to get in the back line here. They're just trying to fight front to back for what feels like the first time in this game, to be honest. Has been a lot of messy fighting here from DRX. They still have a lot of work to do in this split. And Chovy, he's just putting on the show for everybody here. He's not Showmaker, but he is Chovy, and he's putting on a show here for the fans. As Gen G are looking to take this one down from 10,000 gold ahead. Just 2 members left alive, and Fate not even able to kill much except for the Cassante.
Give him another one!
Well,
7-0-6.
7-0. Rascal's still alive. Perhaps not for long.
Perhaps not for long. I think it's, well,
he's fine.
He's okay, but the Nexus is not, sadly. I believe FaZe's KDA was 7-0-5 in the last series, or last game, rather.
Wow, they're actually going to back away. Peanut dies to the turret.
Okay. All right.
What a weird ending.
I mean,
to this one.
It is, believe it or not, like, Soul was taken pre-25 minutes.
Yeah.
Because Peanut had an early sneak of the first Drake, and they got all of them. And the respawn timers of the stage are still fairly low. And this is a more extended trade, so they can survive here. But normally, I would not recommend standing this close to a Camille composition as the Zeri that has a Sejuani, etc. But FaZe, in this case, just doesn't care. He's got a cat on his shoulder. And he's just going to run forward here and chip away. Doran to back him up. Chovy here just saying, oh, health bars are low. Thank you very much.
Yeah, excellently done. Doran is caught, and it takes about 7,000 million bajillion years to take down this Cassante. But they do get there. There's a lot of years that happen really quickly. It's really funny.
We're in a new millennia now.
Insane. I don't even know where we are. FaZe, though, is going to be able to get the follow-up, and this is the problem. We spend everything on the tank when you are far behind. A little bit of desperation, but what can you do?
Chovy is like really making a case for him to get POG though. Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
He's really making a case, okay? Saturday Showdown, let's just say.
Oh boy. Peanut is just getting in there, and now he's got the cat, so he is invulnerable, actually. That's the way it works. Cats do offer that to you. That's why I have a cat in my house.
I got 4.
Yeah, 4. You're 4 invulnerable. You have 4 stacks of invulnerable.
I can actually have 2 cats attached to me at once. I usually don't like it, especially when I'm trying to play an action game.
True.
Cats keep jumping on my controller, but this is going to be Baron, just to guarantee the push to end. They only have 1 inhibitor down because they were greeting to end Nexus earlier and were stopped, so arguably, if they wanted to play it by the book and very safe, they probably could have taken down mid inhibitor too and kind of kited away, but they wanted more, so now they have to play it by the book here at the end stages. As, yeah, this is the passage of 7 million billion years.
Yeah.
And
there it is.
It took a lot to kill him. It certainly did. As, yeah, this is just Peanut helping corral them as FaZe has so much mobility here on the chase. And Hextech Ultimatum here, just, it feels so feeble, you know? It feels so sad.
Futile.
Futile, feeble, weak. It's not Rascal's fault, it's just the state of the game. Yeah. Man, the last 4 games of the LCK, they have not been kind, have they? To the losing side.
Yeah. I mean, our good teams are really incredible. And a lot of the good teams in the LCK right now have kind of stuck together. You know, like a big core of them have stuck together. So they're here in the beginning of spring, and they're just so hungry for any action. They're like, okay, we want to get back on the Rift and prove that we are the best. Yeah. Whereas some of the other teams are like, I'm just like trying to figure out how to walk still.
Yeah, it does feel that way. And
it's like, I'm going to murder you.
It did feel that way for Gen.G against one of those teams. You mentioned T1, but not so much against DRX right now. The revenge is going to succeed, at least in this best of 3.
Chovy just running circles around Fate in this one, as he is able to do so in the final fight as well. Fate may survive, but only in terms of the Rift, as they're all actually healing up. They are going to go for the re-engage. Not looking too bad for DRX, but maybe just a little bit. Okay, Doran. He is just going to go into the fountain. Does not matter. FaZe looking for a little bit of penta action, and the minions said no. They're going to put an end to that nonsense, as Gen.G will stomp in the first series here. The Saturday Showdown, the first one, they showed a lot and put DRX down.
DRX come into this season as defending world champions, but Beryl holds the LCK logo at the opening. He's the last DRX member left and the last DRX member on stage here as well, giving the fist bumps to the side. Oh no, okay, it wasn't the last one. Looks like he was there in that shot. But anyway, he is the last remaining member, right? And we coined the term Big Three in the past for the 3 teams who have won a world's title, right? Gen.G, of course, as Samsung, T1, and Damwon. Damwon Gaming, now looking very strong as D plus Kia. But DRX, they don't necessarily, unless they start dominating in the LCK, get to be in that same exclusive club because this isn't the same roster. And it's not a team that's done well, as well historically here domestically. When Chovy was on the roster, it was a different story, and it was very close back in 2020. But Gen.G really bouncing back. And I think we do right now, after watching this performance, learn a lot more about DRX's power level, because in their first match against D plus Kia, who's been our most dominant team, it might have been a question of, okay, are DRX just struggling because it's D plus Kia? They faced 2 really tough opponents here right off the bat in their first 2 matches, but it looks like there's still a lot of growth that needs to happen here.
Absolutely. The one thing that worries me a little bit for DRX is that their team fighting kind of looks like Nongshim of last year, where it's just everything, like it starts off okay, and then everybody's kind of just running in different directions. So they really need to settle down, figure out, shot calling. It's probably Beryl, I would assume, but They got to get everybody on the same page and just really clean up those team fights. If they can do that, I think they're a pretty, solid middle-of-the-pack team at this point in time. Obviously, Gen G, they got a big win tonight. Not too much else to say. FaZe is going to build some confidence from this, hopefully, and try to move on and get some more wins, perhaps on the Zeri, which is really stubbornly, continuing to pick up over and over into Lucian. Doesn't seem to care about that matchup too much.
I mean, another thing I was going to mention is it's Zeri's second win of the season, and what's crazy about this too is we have FaZe, who's a rookie player coming into the LCK, right? Obviously, he played very briefly in the past, but the bot duo of FaZe is with Delight, who I think to a lot of LCK fans who are a little bit more casual, who only watch like the Saturday Showdown and only watch like the playoffs and don't watch the rest of the season finals, etc. A lot of those people might be thinking Delight is also a rookie. He's not, but he's spent his entire career, playing with Henna and struggling right on Fredit Brion in the past, where he's shown great plays. And I think Gen G, to a certain extent, took a big risk on his potential here. And watching Zeri Yuumi, it's not Ruler Lehens piloting this comp for Gen G, it's FaZe and Delight. And generationally, in this new roster, it feels kind of cool that if you did take the nameplates off and then somebody hadn't told you that it's FaZe and Delight picking it, if it was just blind watching this game, you might believe it was actually Ruler and Lehens in this game. And that's what's so cool about them pulling this Zeri off here in this final game to me.
Yeah, it's very nice to see. Maybe, perhaps you would know that that was Doran, oftentimes taking the brunt of the beating for this team, and did so there on the Cassante with Mountain Soul and a bunch of tanky items, as he should. That is his job after all, baited everybody into this fight. And let's see if they say anything interesting. If FaZe is calling for the Penta aggressively as the rookie.
Yeah, he was so close to it. It's just Jovi, very calm calls here. Do whatever you want. You've got to do whatever you want. That's what Steven said there. Who's calling for POG? I didn't actually.
I think it's Peanut.
Yeah.
It's like it's Penta, right? Penta, right? And then the game ended.
Delight said so. I think it was Delight who said something about who's getting POG. I think FaZe is getting POG this time around. Chovy tried to steal the show, man, but he already got his first POG, and it's a tricky one, man. But I voted for FaZe. I'm sticking with it. I thought he had an amazing game. Big bounce back after his 2 Zeri losses against T1.
Yeah, I would agree. I think FaZe deserves it this time around. And say what you want, but lane was played out well. They avoided everything. They got some support, and then he really took off and used that lead extremely well. But guys, we do have Atlas and Chronicler waiting on the space to break this one down. Let's see what they have to say.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and welcome back to the No Carpet Carpet Space, aka The Space. That was a rough one for DRX, much like game number 1. Pretty clean stuff here from Gen G.
Yeah, there's always 2 sides to each coin. And for Gen G fans, they're like, nice. Really, really clean series. You see Chovy look a lot better. You see FaZe kind of coming into his own. For DRX fans, it is bad. It's not a good time. And I don't even think the problem here was the draft. I actually really like the DRX draft. I think it's cohesive. You have a Sejuani with 2 melee side lanes. You have dive potential. You can 1-3-1. You have Lucianami. Really, in terms of overall strength of composition, sure, Gen G has a really great composition themselves as well. We already know that Chovy can hit the execution floor that you need to hit for an Akali, and then add to that a Cassante, even though Doran made it look a little bit more balanced than it usually is, because he's having some fun.
Yeah.
Overall, very strong. The biggest question mark are the Zeri and the Yuumi, because both of those 2 picks have actually been struggling way more, but the priority in drafts has remained the same, and we'll go into that a little bit later, but overall I think this was not a draft diff. This was just very clearly showing that even though Gen G struggled against T1, still very different playing fields compared to DRX.
No, exactly right. Let's get into our first highlight here that we have for you, starting a little bit earlier in this game as FaZe gets his first taste of a team fight for game 2.
There is so much that goes wrong here. Like, DRX is stuck in a choke point against Akali and Wukong, right? So like, they can't move up. Chovy's the one actually zoning them out, but the Yumio does the same thing, even if Chovy doesn't go in there. And for DRX, you can win a level 6 fight with this comp. Like, that goes without saying. If you single out a target, if you're able to spread out, actually approach from multiple sides, and don't allow Gen G to get these big hoarder wombo combos off, right? Where like you're getting AoE, perfect execution, Yumi ultimate, Wukong, but they're too slow. And then when they're there, they don't, are like, okay, it's the sunk cost fallacy. They keep going. They're like, we are here.
Yeah.
We gotta go. And then they try to funnel with 4 men through a choke point. And that to me is very indicative